happy birthday to all our fiercely loyal Scorpio people. May this be a wonderful time of the year for you. Let's have a look at what that sun in Scorpio is all about. The sun is our ego. Scorpio is about change. It's about death and rebirth. It's about transformation. So the sun in Scorpio is saying to us that we need to find ways to transform our ego. There is so much to be said about learning to merge our spirit soul with our world ego. And I'm always talking about self-mastery, and that's really what it's about. It's about finding that Scorpio, beautiful, deep, intense energy, because it wants to get to the heart of the matter. And it's going to take its time because Scorpio is a sign that is fixed. So it's very slow in the way that it functions. And we've got these hard aspects with the sun today. The sun is making a hard aspect to Uranus in Gemini and is making a square to Pluto in Aquarius. So we are feeling very rebellious. We want all these radical changes. There's this technical innovation that's taking place. But because the sun is making this aspect and it's in Scorpio, it's saying, I need you to do this in a very slow way. We need to calm things down a little bit. Pluto is the planet of death and transformation. It is the planet, wherever it is in your chart, where it has the most power to act in transformation. And with that sun in Scorpio making the square to Pluto, it's saying that we need to transform our pride. It's saying that we need to look at where is our power and what are we doing with that power. Use that power, in other words, to transform the ego, to make the ego merge with your spirit soul, instead of it just being so connected to fear and being so connected to control. Let's look at Mercury for a moment. He's officially in his shadow, which means that he's going to be retrograde very soon. So from the 9th of November until the 20th of November, he is in retrograde. And he's going to be out of his shadow completely by the 17th of December. So these are the do's and don'ts. The don'ts about a Mercury in his shadow or in his retrograde is it's saying to us, I need to triple check all of my communication. I need to make sure that I have clarity before I speak, or have I received the information with clarity? It's the time where we back up all our devices, our phones, our computers. Mercury also governs travel and all things electronic. So, when you're making plans for travel, make sure that you have as much information as possible before you actually make those travel plans, and expect changes. Expect things to change when Mercury is retrograde. The do's of a Mercury retrograde is to redo. In other words, if Mercury is in your house of creativity or in your house of speech or writing or anything like that, it's saying go back and edit that stuff. Mostly with a Mercury retrograde, it's just saying I can revisit, relook, reorganize. I can overanalyze in some ways because Mercury is the analyst, but in a way that it's going to give you more time to do things over and over, to do things over again. Let's go back to our Mercury and what aspects are happening currently with Mercury. So we've got Mercury, we've got the Moon, and we've got Mars, and they are conjunct each other in the sign of Scorpio. We are having a really tough time to express ourselves emotionally. Mercury doesn't like being in Scorpio because Scorpio is very deep and intense. Mercury just wants to talk and think and do its thing. But in Scorpio, it's being forced to slow down. And because Scorpio is about getting to the heart of the matter, we're going to find it really difficult to do so because the Moon is there and Mars is there and they're all talking to each other. You know, Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. It wants to go, go, go. It wants to pioneer. It wants to move forward. It wants to do all of these great things. But with the Moon and Mercury also in Scorpio, it's kind of feeling a little bit like it can't really get to the matter that it wants to get to. You know, with that Mars as well, it can be a little bit emotionally manipulative. So be aware of that. It does take longer to act because Mars is in Scorpio. So he does take longer to act. Needs more focus and a little bit more courage. Let's look at Saturn, who is in Pisces conjunct Neptune, which is in Pisces. I beg your pardon. Yes, they're conjunct Neptune, and they both semi-squaring Chiron in Aries. You know, Neptune is an outer planet, and everything about Neptune is about how it dissolves the illusions and it makes the truth more available. So the truth is everything from just, you know, the tiny fantasies we have in our lives to the actual truth. You know, it could be about religion and the truths that we find out about religion. It's about our spiritual awakening. It is about learning to master our emotions to the point that we can function and not be so, we don't feel so debilitated by emotions that are overwhelming. Neptune is saying that we need to find the truth in everything, and we need to allow the truth, have the courage of the truth to find us, and then decide from a self-mastery point, how do we manage this truth going forward? Saturn, Neptune in Pisces also trines Jupiter in Cancer. So we're having big dreams or big fantasies. And with that Neptune in the mix, it's either going to dissolve all those fantasies and show you the truth, or it's going to really support you into making those dreams come true. So like I said, very strong religious and spiritual or mystical desires. There's this desire to connect with God, with the universe, with something that we know is greater and more powerful than us. Saturn craves real meaning. And so I can't help but keep repeating the story. We are in such a big awakening. We are all experiencing some form of, oh my gosh, this is the truth. You know, there's this awakening that's taking place. And of course, when there's change, which is what's happening, this change, there's always going to be resistance. And that's the ego, that's the sun. So we must find ways to merge that world ego with the spirit soul so that we can now move forward in our life, and not just in our personal lives, but also in the world. Everything that you do in your world has an impact on your outer world. It makes sense that it's time for us to take care of our own little square meter so that we have something to give back. First, let's see what's happening inside you. Let's take care of our inner workings, how we manage our emotions. We need to find discipline. We need to find structures that work for us. We need to caretake our emotions and not allow them to be the drive or this force that takes over and becomes overwhelming. Let's rather put our attention on our emotions that are going to serve us, which is always moving out of fear and back into love. And that is really the crux of self-mastery. It's about having the awareness of my fear thinking that's producing my fear emotions, and making a change where I can find thoughts or choose thoughts that make me feel better. I wish you a very thankful Thursday. I will definitely be speaking to you soon. Thank you for watching All Things Moons and Stars. Be gentle with yourselves. Take care for now. Bye-bye.